Hera. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes,
Yes.
Hira or Hera, it
Hera. Okay.
doesn't really matter.
Because I'm pretty sure I wrote Hara on one of our emails, and I felt horrible about it once I realized, oh, that's not her name.
I don't care. It's okay. Honestly, I've always told people if you say a name to me with enough enthusiasm, I will respond. You could call me Ashley, and I would turn around and be like, "What's up?" So,
Well,
yeah, whatever
you
floats your boat.
awesome. Where does that name come from? What nationality are you?
So I'm Greek. I'm half Greek.
Okay.
The entire Greek side is on my dad's side. So all my sisters are also named after Greek goddesses. My older sister who I live with, she's Athena.
Ah,
So
cool.
we all kind of have this like little tradition going, which is nice. I like
That's
it because
awesome.
no, I've never met another hero before,
Yeah.
so which is kind of nice.
How did you originally get into raving?
So back in like 2016, my friend had an extra ticket to this event called Life in Color in Vancouver. My sister used to go to them all the time, and he was like, "You should come. Like, we can surprise her with you being there." And I'm like, I don't know. Raving sounds stupid. Everyone just goes to like get really like drunk and like dress like
Yeah,
a whore. And I was like, but whatever, I'll go. And then I had a really fun time, and I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this.
absolutely.
So I definitely got into it because of my sister. She introduced me to a lot more like diverse music in the scene and a lot more events, especially that were happening. This was back when I was living
Mhm.
in Canada. So a lot more events that were happening around there. And it just kind of like spiraled out of control, and now I'm here.
Now you're here.
Now I'm here.
Well, you've done an amazing job. What would you say? What would you title yourself as? Because I know it's kind of influencer, kind of modeling. What would you,
Yeah.
if someone asked you what you do for work, what would you tell them?
To normal people, I tell them I'm a seamstress.
Okay.
But to other people in like the rave community and everything, I define myself more as a like content creator in the EDM
Hmm.
space. I've like the influencer has like such like a negative connotation to it, and I
Yeah.
feel like it got like especially with like how some people will like treat their following and stuff on social media, like it rubs me the wrong way. And so I like content creator because to me that sounds like what I'm doing. Like I'm creating content that I love and I'm posting
Hmm.
about it. But so I'll say I'm a content creator, but I'll also say that I'm a business owner.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah, I'm kind of
Awesome.
two sides of a coin.
Have you always been interested in like the fashion stuff and all that you do now? Is that something that you've always wanted to do, or did it kind of progress into that?
It kind of progressed into it. Growing up, I wanted to actually be a writer. Like that's what I went to
Okay.
school for. I took a lot of philosophy classes. This is all before I dropped out of school. I don't have a degree.
Hmm.
um, but like that's what I wanted to go to school for. And the last sewing class that I ever took was when I was in high school. It was like 14, so it was like a decade ago now. And then I only started getting a little bit more interested in sewing when the pandemic was kind of happening and I didn't have anything to do and I wanted to see things in ravewear that nobody was making, and I was like, I'll just make them. And I was like, wait a second, I could sell this, and now I
I
have
could
a
actually
business.
profit off of this.
Yeah, I'm like, wow.
Was COVID kind of that catalyst that got you from working at, like even like part-time jobs into making this your full-time thing?
100%.
Okay.
I think if COVID didn't happen, as bad as it was for everything, especially like my mental health and everything.
Hmm.
If COVID didn't happen, I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't be taking like content creation seriously. I wouldn't have been like taking like going to like festivals and like growing the EDM community in like I've looked at my phone as like a little community.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, a lot of
Absolutely.
people that follow me. I'm like, why are little beans? Like, I want to take like spreading like the EDM scene into them as seriously, if it wasn't for COVID. So I'm glad that that happened.
So, what were you doing prior to COVID?
Prior to COVID, I was in Canada. I was finishing failing my third year of school.
Mm.
And then I failed out of school, but then I got my green card. And so I was like, well, when you get your green card, you gotta move down to the States. They give you like
Yeah.
6 months. So moved down to, I went to Shambhala, moved here, went to Base Canyon within the span of 3 weeks. It was
Holy
insane.
shit.
It was incredible. I would do it again. And then when I moved down here, since I didn't know what I was doing, I just started working as a waitress and a bartender, and then eventually I got a job as a barista in Pike's Place. I
Got it.
love coffee. I make the best coffee in the
Me
world,
too.
guys.
I'm a
There you go.
coffee addict.
Yeah, yeah. This is like my third cup.
Yeah, I just finished my second right before this, and I'll probably have
There
more
we go.
after the interview.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
And it's like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like I'm drinking.
yeah.
I probably drink like around 300 to 400 milligrams of caffeine a day.
You know what?
It's
It's
a
not
problem.
the worst thing though in the world. I used to literally when I used to work at Starbucks too, and I would drink like 12 shots of espresso between like the hours of like 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. It
Holy
was
shit.
disgusting, and I'm fine. I think. But yeah, when I moved down here, I was just baristaing, and then right as my schedule was kind of like getting normal, COVID happened, and then I lost my job. It was like sitting in my apartment doing nothing.
Were
So
you already making any type of financial gain from being in the EDM industry, or is that kind of didn't start until you had to go full time?
it wasn't so sustainable, I would
Okay.
say. I was making like $50 here, $100
Okay.
there, money off of like discount codes or, stuff like that. But it wasn't anything that was like a significant amount of money. It was always an extra like $200 a month or something, which would go to like savings or like I'm gonna buy a dress or whatever.
Right.
So, I don't wear dresses, so
Yeah.
I'm not really buying
Or
this.
reinvesting into other outfits or other things that you can use to build off of. Yeah.
So it was like whatever. But then when COVID hit, since I didn't have anything to do and I was sitting at home basically all day, getting money from the government because I'm unemployed. I lost my job to COVID. I'm like, I have nothing to do. And so I want to do something that makes me happy. And at that point in time, the only things that were making me happy were going on runs, working out, which couldn't work out because of COVID, and doing my makeup and my hair because I've always really liked to do that. And then with TikTok coming out, I was like, maybe I should be putting more effort into content creation on TikTok. And at that point, when I had gotten TikTok, I think I had around like 25,000 followers on Instagram. And I thought like Instagram was always going to be the biggest thing for me. And
Yeah,
then
so TikTok
like,
really blew you up then.
it was TikTok, yeah, because in a month, all of a sudden, I had like 30,000 followers on TikTok, and I was like, "How did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on, bro?" Or is something like super fast? And so I credit a lot of it to TikTok for, I guess, giving me like more opportunities to be able to create. And I felt like I could showcase. I still feel like I can showcase more of my personality on TikTok than I can on Instagram. I feel like you get two very different versions of me on those social medias. But it's kind of nice because I think they both have their place because I am both of those things.
I kind of feel like, because I've watched your stories on Instagram, I've seen what you post, and then I've also watched your TikTok, and I feel like your TikTok and your Instagram stories, I kind of do the same thing. Your TikTok and Instagram stories kind of go hand in hand, that you can just be like your weird self, and then your Instagram is like very much like model pictures, like high professional
Unless
pictures.
you read the captions.
Yeah.
The captions are like, what is she going off about? It is ridiculous.
What kind of content did you kind of start with TikTok?
I jumped right into like the raving and EDM niche. And I didn't really do that because I was like, this is gonna blow up and this is this thing that's gonna like make me, whatever. I did that just because I wanted to have this is so dumb. I wanted to have streamlined handles across my social media. So I wanted to be Sunflower Raver across everything. Yeah. And I'm like, if I post stuff that isn't kind of like at least a little bit rave related, I'm like, it's not gonna make sense for my TikTok handle.
Yeah.
I'm like, I might as well just keep it like in the rave niche. Like, who cares?
I kind of feel like some people with like certain websites, like if something like someone is like going to be famous someday, sometimes they'll like buy their own website name so that they're able to actually use it, because otherwise I've heard stories where like people like have to pay an astronomical price to just pay for their own, like what their own branding is.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Like, you have to make sure you have all that stuff like trademarked and everything. I'll never make a sunflowerraver.com, that's for sure. But like when I made when I made Olympus Attire, like I made sure that I had like the website before I ever posted anything about it, because I was worried. I'm like, what if somebody takes it? I don't know.
You start posting stuff about it and they're like, oh, it's not taken yet.
Yeah, we were like, give me $5,000 for it.
Right.
Like, I don't have it.
Yeah, nothing. How has things kind of, well, I guess it's only been the last few years. Was your intentions ever to get, like, I guess, the amount of following that you have and all that stuff? Was that ever like a goal, or did it just kind of happen?
It just happened.
Okay.
But I think that's like the best thing about it. Like, When I was first kind of getting into like social media, and like, because at the beginning I was trying to grow my platform a little bit, but this was when I had like maybe 3,000 followers on Instagram. And I really wanted to hit like 10K, because at 10K you got like the swipe up and everything. And like, I feel like people would take me more seriously at that point. And so around that time I was in like a lot of engagement groups. I was like sitting on Instagram for like 4 or 5 hours a day, just like trying to grow my platform. Like I took it way too seriously. And then I kind of got some like sense knocked into me, and I realized how stupid that was. And it was like hurting a lot of the relationships around me, because I was putting so much of my focus onto social media, which is so dumb. So I stopped, and then I realized when I stopped caring is when I actually started enjoying posting more and being like more of like myself, and like being more authentic online and everything. And so that's when I think things started to kind of like take a turn. And I tell this to my friends too, who are like, well, or other people that are like, oh, I want to like be an influencer and stuff. I'm like, well, just don't take it seriously, because people are going to want to follow you for you.
It's a hard concept to wrap your brain around. It's like you almost have to not care. Like my biggest thing is like, don't look at analytics. Don't ever look at analytics. I'm an analytic like over obsessor sometimes. I'm like, I'm just happier when I just get to enjoy the process.
And you just post what you want.
And post whatever you want.
That's what, especially now with TikTok. That's what's been happening, especially with my TikTok page a lot now, because a lot of my stuff gets banned.
I was gonna ask you about that.
It's like I lost my TikTok account once already. So I would try my best to not post stuff that could get taken down, but I don't know like what's going on with like my account at the moment, but it's like nothing's getting views right now, and it's like it's funny though, but the thing is like I don't take that seriously enough to care about it. Like I think I have a video on there that hasn't even hit like 1,000 views, and I'm like, this is hilarious. I'm not deleting it. It is the funniest thing in the entire world. And also I like that video, I look cute in it, so obviously I'm gonna leave it up.
Absolutely.
It's stuff like that where I'm like, back when I was like first trying to make it on social media, I'm like, I know that stuff like that would bother me so much. Like I know that I would be the type of person that would totally like delete things if like they didn't perform, and I'm really glad I'm at a point now where I just don't care about it. Like I'm posting because I want to post, and if it performs, it performs. Cool. If it doesn't, I could care less.
Who cares? Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great mindset. That means you're gonna have, I think people that have that kind of mindset are the ones that make it last a long time. You can do this for a long time because you don't over obsess about it. I know that's one thing that I've had to learn along my journey of like even just running this podcast is like, don't even think like it's still early. Like people sometimes like it takes people 10, 15 years to get to where some people are. And for you, it luckily happened very quickly. But it's like cut yourself some slack. And for anyone who wants to do this, like don't put too much pressure on yourself, because I think that I've been way happier since I've like taken that pressure off myself.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing though too. I mean, when I look back on my Instagram, I started back in 2016. So it's taken me even now like a solid 6 years to kind of to get to where I am. With other social medias, obviously you can like expedite growth potentially, but I think what you're doing is really great, and especially like with podcasts too, with how the EDM scene is kind of starting to, I would say, gain a lot more traction now. It's really cool to have different kinds of insights in it. So I think having a podcast is a really great thing to be doing. Like you're probably gonna like you're probably gonna be like interviewing artists in like a couple years here. So like like we'll have like maybe like Martin Garrix or something. He's cool.
That would be amazing. I love that
kid.
What I was gonna ask you, because you kind of mentioned the whole getting banned and getting deleted thing. What kinds of things have you gotten banned for, and what have you done to try and maybe, or if you have done anything to try and maybe prevent that from happening in the future?
Well, TikTok, it's only been on TikTok because TikTok's a really picky platform, and for some reason, I've noticed this with a lot of rave accounts, and accounts that aren't, this is gonna sound so bad to say, accounts that aren't skinny, white, underage girls. So not me.
You have two out of three of those things.
2 out of 3. Unfortunately, I'm not a child. God. But when like a lot of people can get away with posting like in bikinis and like having like their bibs out or like their butt out on TikTok, but when I do it, everything will get taken down, and it gets removed for adult nudity and sexual activity. It gets removed for minor safety, which is weird. That means that TikTok thinks I'm a child, but they don't treat me like one because all the other children can have it up. And those are the only things that I have actually been had my stuff removed for. It's never been for anything else. So before TikTok's system, like when you would have your stuff removed, you could appeal it. And most of the time when I appealed it, things would work because I would show them other TikToks where girls were wearing less clothing than me, or the fact that I was an adult, and I would show them my ID and they would restore my video. But now their system's different. Eventually, though, when you get your videos taken down enough, they'll ban your account, which they did to me. And then I sent them like 20 emails, and I was like, hi, give me my account back. And then the next day I got my account back, because I can get really annoying really fast.
Yeah.
And I'm not, like, I will use my Karen-ness to my advantage when I need to.
I will send you 20 emails a day.
I wish I did it right now. Like, literally, like, I'm freaking out. But now when I'm posting, I am like extremely cautious about showing anything on my chest. I make sure I don't like show my butt. If like there's a video with it, like I'll try to like edit it or put text over like my butt so nobody can see it. A lot of the videos that like I do create, if I'm like posting them to TikTok and then like they get reposted onto like iHeartRaves, for example, my hand's like ever over my chest, it's like to cover up my
literally
boobs.
just saw you do that on one of the last shoots you just posted. What was that? Blue, white, I forget
my
what.
Sailor Moon outfit.
Yes, yep.
And I have my hand over my chest because it's either I wear a top under it, or I can get away if I just like cover up my boobs a little bit. Like they won't flag that from what I've noticed anyway. So that's what I have to do now, and it kind of sucks. But I don't really have much of another choice if I want to still create on there. And I do like creating on TikTok because I like making stupid things. It's fun. It's whatever. Like, and in the end, like, who cares if I have to cover up a little bit? Like, people get it. Like, sometimes people will question, be like, why does she have a hand over her chest? And I'm like, well, you know, social media these days.
I'd rather not get my account deleted.
Yeah. And I also don't want to film like two of the same video, like one with my hand over my chest and one without. I'm like, this is like
too much work.
It's not going to look as funny the second time around that I do it, because it's going to, like, the joke's going to get old in my head.
Absolutely, yeah. I look at, like, other, I don't know if you follow, I think it's more, their target audience is more, like, guys my age, but if you follow, like, Impulsive or the Nelk Boys or anything like that, like, the big-time creators.
Yeah.
Steve Will Do It just got his account deleted. I'm, like, with him, and, like, there's been a bunch of people lately that's gotten, like, even their YouTube's deleted. It's nuts.
It's crazy. And the thing is that there's other people that are doing a lot worse things online. And they have massive platforms. Like, I think family channels, for example, I hate family channels. Oh my God. Child exploitation to a T. But their accounts are still up, and there's nothing that's being done about that kind of stuff. But then you'll ban a couple of kids for playing pranks on each other. Like, they definitely discussed beforehand.
So dumb.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
How long were you doing the modeling thing, social media stuff until Olympus Attire was kind of conceived, that you came up with that idea?
My baby.
Your baby.
I would say I was getting a little bit more into modeling stuff over COVID. I had done some modeling stuff like outside of like the rave scene earlier. But like back when I was up like living in Canada, like there was like photo shoots and stuff that I would attend, which was fun, but it was always kind of weird. I don't know. Like they were always like, modeling is just like such like a weird industry, because you never know if you should feel confident in your body, or like you'll have people that are like trying to like make you feel bad about your body. So when I started doing more stuff on social media, I think I felt more comfortable with modeling, because I know people could just like, they could see what I look like, and then if they wanted to work with me, then I could take the pictures, and I feel like good when I'm taking my own photos, because I don't mean to sound like super like narcissistic or anything, but like I know how I look best when I take pictures, so that's why I like to take them of myself. I have very big difficulties with other people taking pictures of me.
I saw you were, I forget where I even saw this, I think it might have been on Freedom Ravewear's website, one of the interviews you did with them a while ago, but you were talking about how like the dimensions even of like, don't stand too far back, don't stand too close to the camera, like even just like your spatial awareness with working with the camera is a big deal. And it can be a lot, like, and when you can see yourself on your own phone, because I always use the front facing camera because whatever, I like to be able to see that and make the photo composition exactly how I want it to look, and it also lets me take my pictures really quickly and I don't have to sit there like forever. But I would say like over COVID is when I kind of started getting a little bit more serious like into
all of the modeling stuff, and I found that really with iHeartRaves, like having stuff sent to me from them and then taking pictures in it and doing things like having like a huge setup in my apartment for it and like making them look really nice and like taking time to like really like do myself up and like have like my hair and makeup like looking a certain way. And so I think that's when I started to take it a little bit more seriously. And then by the end of 2020 is when I was like, I want to start my own raver brand, which Freedom Raver also kind of kickstarted that for me because I worked with them for a little bit. And Mike and Alyssa are some of the coolest people in the world. Like, I love the both of them, but they kept planting little seeds in my mind. They're like, you should just make your own little business. Just do it. Just do it. And I was like, I quit. I'm making my own business. And they're like, yeah. It was great. They were super fun to work with. But I think it was really fun with Olympus Attire, like being able to make things and then wear the things that I made and see people's like wanting to also wear them is like really cool. I don't know. It just feels really cool to be able to like, I look at the raver that I make as like art. So being able to wear my own art is really interesting to me. I grew up making art all of the time. That's what I wanted to be when I was a kid. And then it turned into writing. So being able to actually create like physical art and wear it is like really cool.
I know even just making, some of the merch that I've made for the podcast, it's like actually being able to wear something that's like your, even just says your brand on it. It's like, what the heck? The really surreal
really
feeling.
Cool. Yeah, but it's like so much fun. Like you get to be able to showcase something that you created.
Yep.
Right? Like, and it feels so cool.
It does. When you're making clothes, is it all like handmade individual items, or do you have like a kind of sort of like set up like a distribution kind of manufacturing setup?
I'll move into more helpful people and maybe like manufacturing a little bit more in the future. But currently right now I'm making everything myself.
Wow.
So, which has been a little bit difficult sometimes to balance with like content creation and then also like running the entire ins and outs of a business, as I'm sure that you know with like your podcast, like you have social media posting, you have, keeping things up to date,
a lot of
like
moving
all
parts.
the emails. Yeah. And it's everything. And you got to be in charge of it all. Like the biggest problem that I have with Olympus Attire is literally just running the social media account because depression brain will kick in, and then I've had like 3 concussions, so I'm very forgetful.
Oh no!
And so I'm like, oh no, I forgot to post for 2 months. Like,
oh boy,
my business. It's fine.
Oh, whoops.
Which like, I'm still there, but at the same time, I'm doing so much sewing behind the scenes that like all of my focus goes into that. There are days where I have 12 hours where I'm just sewing on my machine or cutting out pieces.
Holy shit,
everything.
That's a long day.
It's a really long day. The last drop that I did, I made over 300 products in 8 weeks, alongside going to festivals, creating content, all of this other stuff. And that's typically how my life is. It's like super busy. Like right now is the first time where I've actually had downtime, because after this last drop that I didn't do another one because I needed a break. And I'm making stuff that's ready to ship. So while I'm not actively making, because everything's like usually made to order, I'm not doing any made to order stuff, I'm still sitting down and I'm sewing for at least like 6 hours a day, like minimum, to get things going. So, but it's fun. Like I love sewing. It's very relaxing, and I can just have like an anime on in the background, just go, this is my job.
I feel like sewing is almost, I mean, to a certain degree, I guess you can kind of relate this. Like when I'm like folding laundry or something, I can easily like, that's kind of a mindless task.
It's very mindless.
I can do it and like also be watching something on TV or like whatever. So I guess that makes time go by a little easier, but
it can, especially because all this stuff, I'm so used to making it now. It's all like muscle memory. Like I know exactly what I'm doing. I can, most of the stuff at this point, I'm like eyeballing it because I'm just like, oh yeah, this is what it's supposed to look like, and then it turns out great, and I'm like, sweet. The only time things get difficult is when my serger will sometimes be a nuisance to me, and the threads will stop working, and I think the longest time I spent fixing it was like 2 hours, and I had to take a break halfway through because I was getting super upset because nothing was working. But I fixed it, so it's fine.
When you started the company, what did you aim to do differently than some of the other companies that you might have been working with or that you knew or that existed already? What was kind of like what was your market fit?
I wanted to see more raver brands do custom sizing at no extra cost, which I know a couple of smaller brands do, but I wanted to see more of that. And especially when you're doing handmade stuff, when you have the option to do a custom size, it can be like the world of a difference. Even when you look at something like a bodysuit, like for like a woman's body, like she could have like, let's say like really small hips, but she's got like big old titties, like,
Right.
and you know, technically she's a small, but her boobs should fit a large. Like that's when a custom size really comes into play. And so when you have the options to do something like that, I think it creates more inclusivity in the scene. And especially with rave wear, like since we have so many different bodies that are inside of the scene, I think everybody deserves to feel really beautiful in what they wear. So that's what I was kind of aiming for when I was starting it. Like I wanted everybody just to feel good in what they wore. And also there's like a couple of styles that like I wanted to wear more of because I'm like, I like how this looks on me, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make it. Yeah. And if other people want to buy it, then they can. But so there's some things that like I don't see enough of in the scene, and I wanted more of it. Like the wrap tops, I love wrap tops on me. Are they supportive? No, not at all.
You made the what was it, strawberry cherry one?
Yeah, the strawberries.
Yep.
That was
a good.
My Aphrodite collection. I love that one so much. I'm doing the Zeus one. I have my Zeus collection as well. And then the next one that I'm doing is my Persephone collection, which I have all of the fabric and whatnot that I need for it. I'm going to do it ready to ship as well. And then I'm hoping by the time all of that stuff will sell, I'll be able to move into having a little bit more help with sewing so I can do maybe like monthly drops instead of like once every 3 months. Yeah. That's the goal.
I think that's super awesome that we started off this conversation with your name and, you know, you're Greek. And I think that's awesome that you've created an entire clothing line and clothing brand around kind of the same like Greek mythology idea.
Yeah, it's being Greek is it's a very important thing to me. All my family's out there and I get to see them from time to time, but it's been like, oh my God, it's been almost like 10 years since I was able to see them last. And so it sucks. So I want to like feeling close to them in like some sort of way, even if it's just like through my business, is like really nice. And I also like, I love Greek mythology. Like I've studied a lot of Greek philosophers while I was in university, and it was just like one of my favorite things in the entire world. And so I like being able to bring that more into like what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Now. So plus Greek people are really weird. They're very weird people. But like in a good way.
I love their food. I love your guys' food.
Yeah.
Lamb and shawarmas and all that stuff. So delicious.
Yeah.
So good.
My mom, she's not Greek. She's the white part of me. I mean, okay. Greek people are white too. What I'm saying. Yeah. But my mom, for some reason, she can make the best tzatziki sauce on the face of the planet. And I need to like steal her recipe or something because like that stuff is so good. I could eat it for days.
Tzatziki and what's the pita bread?
Pita bread,
delicious.
Yeah, a little bit of hummus. Yeah, just everything. A little bit of souvlaki on the side. Oh my God. Ugh.
Going back to the clothing stuff. Do you think your vision is ever going to change or evolve over time, or do you think you want to ever take it in like a slightly different direction than what you're doing now?
Yeah. I want Olympus Attire eventually to be able to host more like swimwear stuff.
Okay.
I think just in general with my social media platforms as they grow, like in 10 years, I'm probably not going to be posting as much about raving, right? Like something's going to end up changing and some things are probably going to like turn a little bit more into like lifestyle stuff. And while you can keep like festival stuff up on Olympus Attire, it's like if I'm going to be growing and changing, then my brand does too. And so maybe having it something like turn into something more functional like swimwear that has a really good focus on like inclusivity. Like if I did go into swimwear, I'd want to have like a whole like maternity line, like a separate line for like plus size stuff.
Oh, that's
like
awesome. Yeah.
Separate stuff like to have like custom sizing available, and then having like I've seen some swimwear brands do like matching like swimwear trunks for like men so that you can have like cute matching sets. I'm like, I want to do that too because that seems really cool. But that's kind of where I see things going like in the future with it, and I think it'd be really fun. But I have lots of time for it to get there.
Yeah.
So I'm not like really worried. I'm like maybe I could go into designing like intimates because like who doesn't love a good lingerie set? Yeah. I don't know. And it fits with the rave wear theme. I'm like,
it does.
There we go. So I
definitely
think
does.
There's like lots of options, and I'm really excited to see like where it does go. But at the same time, I'm like very into just like going with like where it's flowing right now. So I don't know. Maybe it'll change into like menswear just entirely. Who knows? Who knows?
Start designing menswear.
Yeah.
I think the idea of creating catering different sizes for different body shapes is something really awesome, and it's something that I see a lot in like the fitness industry. I don't know if you know who like Buff Bunny is, but she I've been watching Christian and her for like 7 years now. I just draw a lot of my inspiration from the way they run their businesses. But I think what she does with her plus sizes, and like she has a wide range of people, or wide range of sizes that people can fit into. And I think that's just awesome for companies to do, because with, like you said, if someone has a skinny waist and like large breasts, or vice versa, they, because they squat a lot, they need a bigger bottom or whatever. I think that's something that I don't see a whole lot of rave companies do. I see more in fitness, but I think that's awesome that have you drawn an inspiration from anything? Did you get information or get inspiration from companies like that?
Not as much in like the fitness industry. It was more just so talking to a lot of like my friends. I mean, there's a lot of people that like in the rave scene that like I know that are like plus size women, or like they're like really tall girls. They're like 6 feet tall, and they're like, oh, like I have to buy a size like 1X, but like it doesn't fit me here because like my body's not shaped that way. But if I don't, like I'm too tall for like something smaller to fit. So it's like you see that there's this like weird need for things, and I'm like, I don't want my friends to feel like they're struggling with like finding clothing that makes them feel good. Like I am very privileged in the body that I have, and how like I'm able to keep like an active lifestyle, and I don't like how things are easier for me just because I fit into society's norms. Like I don't think that's fair. I'm very much like, I want everybody to feel good and happy, and they all deserve that same kind of feeling that I have. So, and I don't want other people to worry about like, oh shit, my rave's coming up and like nothing fits me. Like everything fits weird. I have to like put a safety pin in here for it to like look right. I'm like, that's dumb.
That's dumb. Just wear something that actually fits.
Like it's ridiculous. I don't want people to feel that way.
What have been some of your, just talking strictly Olympus Attire, what have been some of your like struggles along the way of building this company?
I think the biggest thing at first was managing my time properly in order to, the first drop that I did was a really big test to see how many orders I could like actually fulfill in the time period that I like had, which was like 8 weeks. So it was finding that like it's like a very perfect balance of things. And as I've gotten better, I've been able to take on like more orders while keeping that time frame at like 6 to 8 weeks. That's been a struggle. It's been a struggle to keep up with like posting on social media. I think that's my biggest problem still. Like I'm like literally so bad at it. But
I'm surprised you haven't found someone to like outsource that to.
I should. Like literally, I just twice a week go on, make a post. But then I'm like, I can do that, so I don't want to. Like it makes zero sense. And especially because I'm sitting here, I'm like on my phone all the time on like my main profile, so it's like, what's going on? That's always been difficult. And then I think sometimes running just like customer service can be kind of difficult, because the only reason why I say this is I feel like I need to act like super professional because I'm representing Olympus Attire. But then when I'm emailing people back, it's like all caps lock, because they'll be like, oh, here are my sizes. I'll email them back like, thank you, love you, hope you have a great day, and everything's been spelled. And like some words like there's like ones and exclamation points, and then I send it and I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. I'm like, this is unprofessional, but then at the same time I'm like, who cares? But I guess the only reason why I find that to be a little bit difficult is because I don't want people to like look at that email and be like, oh, this is like a business, like are we sure this is a business, like do we take her seriously? And so that can be a little bit of a struggle as well. I find it to be a struggle sometimes too with how people reach out to me regarding like gifting products. I'm not at a point where I can do that confidently. I think I'm still growing as a business. Like even for like the size range that I have right now, like I know it can be better. It's extra small to 3XL. And I could probably go from extra small to like a 4 or 5XL, at least. Like that's where I want to get. Like, is this a good starting point? Fantastic, yeah, for sure. And I got custom sizing, so it's not the end of the world. But I'm like, this could be better. But when people reach out to me for like free stuff, I feel bad. I just don't respond.
Yeah.
I look at it and I'm like, no.
Whoops.
Especially because I started doing more of like the anime stuff. I think somehow those posts attracted so many cosplay people, and I have like 30 messages from like different cosplay accounts being like, can you send this to me? Like, I'd love to take pictures in it. And I'm like, no, this took me like 3 days to make. I'm not sending it to you for free.
That's like a few $100 or a couple $100 at least for just the amount of work that you've put into it.
And then, like, also, I posted how I made it on a TikTok, so you can just make it yourself if you want. Like, I know it's expensive, but, like, if you don't want to pay for it from me, like, at least, like, you know how to make it. It's fine. I had some girl, she, like, tagged me, and she's like, oh, look, I made, like, a Nezuko outfit inspired by yours, and blah, blah this, and blah, blah that. Like, it was so pretty. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. Like, yes, because then it means more people are sewing their stuff and more people are being originally unique. And also, that stuff makes me happy. I really like it when people copy me.
I mean, you're doing something right.
I'm like, that means they liked it a lot.
What, kind of taking a left turn here.
Yeah.
Your name, I meant to ask you this in the beginning, but your name's Sunflower Raver.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit of the backstory of what Sunflower Raver is and where that name kind of originated from for you?
Yeah, so it actually stems a lot from Mark. When me and him...
For the people who are listening who don't know who Mark is, can you...
We'll just go to full backstory. 2018, I went to Lucky, and I was in a mosh pit, and some guy pulled me out, and his name was Mark. And it was weird, because when we looked at each other, time stopped, and I was like, we're in love. And I knew him. And it was weird because I didn't know him, but it felt like I knew him. Like, I recognized him. And he felt the same way. We looked at each other like, whoa, what's going on here? But we didn't actually know each other, but it's like we recognized each other. I'm a very big believer in reincarnation kind of a thing. I think, like, our energy somehow comes back into this world.
Yep.
Like, whether it's like you're a human being or a tree or you're just energy in itself, like something.
Absolutely.
I don't know, but
I agree.
Yeah, thank you. It kind of does. But we talked for the rest of the night, and then 10 days later we started talking about when our wedding was going to be, and we were going to get married. Yeah, like, I'm not kidding. Like, when it was absolutely ridiculous, like, how much I felt like I already knew about him as a person.
That's crazy.
Like, the kind of, like, connection, like, I pray to God that every single person in their life finds that connection at least one time, because it's, like, the most insane feeling in the world. Like, how the movies are like, oh, time stops, and, like, the sounds mute out. And that's literally, like...
happened to me in real life.
Yeah, but then the feeling that comes with it is, like, indescribable. And then things were going really well. We went to a couple festivals together, and I started posting on my social media as Sunflower Raver, because I made a separate Raver account because I was going to so many events, and he would call me his Sunflower. So that's how I kind of turned into Sunflower Raver online. And I would call him my bee. So we were like a little bee and a little sunflower.
Oh, nice.
And it was, like, really cute. And then July came, and he was driving up to see me from California, because he was in California at the time. I was in Canada. And he got hit by a drunk driver going the wrong way on the highway.
No.
And he died instantly. And it was weird because when I woke up the next morning, I knew he was gone. Like, you
just felt it.
Like, I knew it. Like, it was
wild.
weird. And during we were on FaceTime too the night before. It was, like, so fucked up. He was driving up on July 4th. Don't ever drive on July 4th. Like, worst thing in the entire world to do. But we were on FaceTime, and when we hung up, it was, like, midnight, and 30 minutes later was when he got hit. And it was weird. During the entire conversation, there's multiple times where he was gonna, like, turn around and, like, go back home, or, like, get a nap or something, or, like, pick up, like, a slushie, like, whatever. Like, there's so many of these little things that could have happened that could have changed the outcome, but they didn't. Yeah, I was heartbroken, devastated.
I bet.
Washed away. I didn't eat for, like, 2 months. I tried to kill myself. It didn't work. I was in the hospital for, like, 3 days. I had, like, 6 tubes coming out of me because I tried to overdose. Don't ever do that. And I killed my liver. It was, like, dead. They're like, they brought me in. They're like, we don't know how you're still alive. I'm like, I don't know.
Are you still suffering some repercussions from trying to do that? Like, is your liver okay now?
My
or
liver's
is your
fine.
enzymes back? Okay.
Yeah, everything's fine. My liver was fixed, like, the amount of stuff that they were pumping into me, like they basically got it to a point where it could like heal itself within like a couple, like by like a month later, like everything should have like back to normal kind of a thing. But I got put in the psych ward for like a week. Also, worst experience of my life. They don't like give you forks or knives in there.
Yeah, because like, you can hurt yourself. Because you can. Yeah.
A knife. Yeah, like meals are supervised. They had like a place where you could make bracelets, but you have to have scissors to cut the string. So you had to have someone with you there, like supervising you using the scissors. It was like I learned how to do origami in there because there was nothing else I could do. And by the end of it, I had like literally like 25 origami figures like on my windowsill.
I had a city of origami.
Yeah, it was I literally never want to do origami again because I'm like, this was the worst thing in the entire universe. The psych wards suck and it didn't help me feel any better. Unfortunately, they also like load you up on meds, and like that doesn't feel good. I don't
100% agree with loading people up on meds.
No. And they don't need it.
I understand when people need it, but
yeah. Like, and I got diagnosed with depression when I was 12 already. So by the time, like with everything that happened with Mark, it like caused my depression to get a lot worse. And then I developed anxiety after that because everything was just like really tough. And so, especially after I left the psych ward, they were trying to keep me on like more medication. But I stopped taking. I don't take anything now. I don't like how it makes me feel, and I have really good coping skills and coping mechanisms and things that make me happy. Where I don't feel like I need to worry about taking things that are gonna make me feel a little bit weird, and like not like myself, I guess. But yeah, Sunflower Raver started because of Mark, and then with everything that happened with him, like the reason why I kept going to raves, even though it like hurt because that's like where I met him. At them, like at raves, it made me feel closer to him, and it made me feel like I was like carrying a piece of him, doing something that I really like genuinely like love doing. Like I love going to shows, and so being able to go to them is always nice because it reminds me of like this really special thing that I had with somebody who may not be like physically here, but is still like kind of here.
You feel him here.
Yeah.
He'll forever be in your heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, kind of on a lighter note, what was your favorite thing about him?
His laugh.
Okay.
He had the most like genuine and like sweetest laugh in the entire world. It literally like sounded like music. He was excellent. It was like I have like still like videos of him like laughing that like I saved like just specifically to like listen to them. So I don't really tend to look back on photos of him as much anymore. Only on times where like I know I really need to like reflect on my grief and process like some like more emotions. I find like that's when it comes to be like really helpful in understanding like how I'm feeling. But I think what a lot of people think like when you lose like your significant other, that you should like feel like kind of guilty for like moving on. Like I know a lot of people will think that way, and I don't think that way at all. Like
he would want you to move on. Anyone like, I feel like if they were still here, they would want you to and understood. Hey, I passed away.
Yeah.
At least for me, if I passed away and I had a significant other, I would want them to move on and be happy with her.
Go find more people to like love. Will it ever be the same? No. You have to. Yeah. The biggest thing I think that people need to learn is that you're never going to find that connection again. Even like with your past relationships, like every ex that you've had, you should never go looking for that same exact connection that you had with somebody else, because that's what's going to cause a failing relationship. And I don't think that's a good thing to like want either. Like I wouldn't want the same love that I had with my ex-boyfriend with whoever I end up dating in the future. Like no way in hell. I also don't want the person that I date next to, I don't want the same connection with them as I had with Mark. Like I want it to be unique to them because I think everybody's deserves a unique and special kind of love. But that's just me.
Absolutely. I agree. Next kind of fun question. What was your favorite memory? If you could choose one with you guys together when he was still here, what would be your favorite memory with him?
It was so easy. When we went to Paradiso, was the Paradiso 2018, baby. With the storm, because there was a huge storm there, and it was.
Oh, I remember that actually.
It was so much fun. But on the second day, like because we had gotten a little bit early and it was rainy, it was gross. We were at the top of the hill and we were full on sprinting and then sliding down the hill because it was so wet. So it was like a slip and slide, and it was the most fun and ridiculous thing in the entire world. And that was like one of my favorite things, and I just like remember like laughing my ass off.
That's awesome.
So that was definitely like one of like my favorite memories. We went on like a lot of like hikes together and stuff too, but I like doing weird shit.
I'm a big hiker. I know you're a big outdoor girl. You in 11th and 12th grade, you took a course that was like an outdoor course, right?
Yep, my outdoor education course. That was the best course I've ever taken of my life, man. Like, I wish more than anything that I was able to take something like that in like university. Most of my outdoorsy stuff just kind of like in university just translated to finding other people who are doing the same thing. But like, I've been kayaking, I've been like rock climbing, I've been caving, I've been winter camping, and like literally negative 30 degrees.
Yeah, winter camping is like completely something different.
Oh my god, but it's amazing though, because also imagine like a bunch of like 16, 17-year-olds like holed up in this like little hut, and there's like 30-year-olds there, and they're like, you guys, they're like, we're all cold, and there's like adults there, and like, you guys want some Fireball? It warms you up, and you're like, what the fuck? And your teacher's like, stop it! And then you're able to sneak some Fireball, even though it tastes, I hate Fireball. Cinnamon does warm you up though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, no, I love being able to like do stuff outside. I think that's part of the reason why I like camping festivals, especially like at the Gorge, so much.
Yeah, I've never been. I still have not been to the Gorge. I need to go.
It's
I need to go to Base
incredible.
Canyon.
Yeah, no, next year you're more than welcome to come with my crew to Base Canyon. It's gonna be insane. I always have so much fun there.
I'm a Lost Lands kid, so
yeah.
I'm
Are you going to
Lost
Lands?
in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. We'll meet up there because I'm also
excellent.
I'm like so excited. I'm camping there.
Oh man, yeah. I always get an Airbnb for Lost Lands, so
I'm probably gonna be like super stinky, but I am gonna see if I can like try to like sneak a shower or something from somebody.
Those Lost Lands campgrounds I've heard are some of the best smelling campgrounds in EDM.
Yep. And I don't like being stinky, so
yeah, me either.
like, here we go. I'm like, as long as I can look good for like half the day, then I'm fine. Because usually by the evening, I have a little disguise that I'll put on, and then because I don't sometimes, I just
want to vibe out by myself and people leave me alone. Yeah.
Like at Base Canyon, I had the most fun ever at a festival in the longest time because I would put on my disguise in the evening, and then I just run around going, no one knows who I is. I can do whatever I want.
I know even like big artists do that too. Like when they're like, I just want to enjoy the festival. They like cover up, like wear pashminas over their heads and like
pashmina, bucket hat, big t-shirt, mask. That combination, because then you can only see like this, and so then nobody knows unless they come really close to me. So it's great though because I love meeting new people at like events and stuff, and I also like being able to like kind of act. I feel like I can act a little bit more of a fool, so and get a little bit like be the person that starts the mosh pits kind of a thing.
So. Okay, so going back, do you think what you experienced with Mark had anything like affects you in any way in your relationships now with other people?
Not anymore. I feel like obviously like in the beginning and stuff when I was like first kind of like figuring out like relationships after him, I think it definitely caused myself like some issues. Only because like
you would imagine.
Fuck, someone died. What are you gonna do? But I feel like I've gotten to a really healthy point with it now where it's just like appreciating what I had and learning from it and taking those feelings that I had into future relationships in the sense of like I understand better now how to set boundaries because I know how I deserve to be treated by somebody that I am going to be with. So I take everything that I had with Mark in our relationship as a learning lesson. The only time I would see it potentially affecting like any sort of like relationship in the future that I would have is if the guy felt like he was ever in competition with Mark, which is weird because
you would want to be with someone like that anyways.
Like, well, he's dead, so there's like no competition. Like you're chilling, and like because I will always have like a very special place in my heart for Mark, and I'm always gonna love him. I always do like little. They're not like rituals, but I do little things for him like on his birthday and like on the day that he passed. Like if I'm feeling sad, like I'll light a candle for him kind of a thing. Like while these things are a lot like few and far between now, obviously, if something like that made my like whoever I date next uncomfortable, then it's something that would have to be like discussed and just like kind of like gone through, because at the same point, like, I feel it in a way, it's like honoring a memory rather than just like, it's not much of me like grieving anymore. It's me sort of like looking back.
Honoring him.
Yeah. And just being like, hey,
Yep.
like, this is like a really
Well, I do
important
this.
thing to me.
I
Like,
do the same thing for the people who have passed away in my life.
yeah.
Like, what's the difference? It was just it was a boyfriend instead of like a parent or
Yeah.
grandparent. Like,
It's like,
it's the same idea.
yeah. And I'm just like, as long as they like I'm not sitting here like, oh my god, like I wish Mark was still alive or whatever, blah blah blah, just whatever. Like, you know, obviously there's always gonna be like regret and stuff that I have, and looking back into the past, like wondering how I could like do things better. But like, I again, ways to cope with that, ways to understand like this is just how I'm processing grief again as it's like coming around in its circle and going through its phases, and then I'm fine. Like, you know, it's losing someone is always really tricky. Because I think when you think about it, you have this idea of how you're going to react, and it never goes to plan. Like, it never is how you envisioned it. And so when everything does happen, it feels super, super chaotic. And I think the only time where you feel like you're starting to like have a better understanding and control of things is when you have a minute to like unravel all of the chaos around you and understand what you actually need and what you don't need.
That was one thing I think that would be a positive for you for sure coming out of that, is like really probably showed you a lot about like
I learned a lot about myself.
You learned a lot about yourself, but you also learned a lot about relationships and how relationships work, and even how you said in the previously how each relationship with different people should be. You should feel different ways. Like, however your connection was with that person should be a different way. And like, as long as you can separate that, you won't have any problems with like future relationships. Yeah.
And like, I know if Mark didn't pass away, like I wouldn't know how to take care of myself the way I do today, which is extremely important, especially with all of the mental health issues that I've had like in the past and I still live with like today. Like, I understand what I need for myself. I understand how I need to take care of myself. I understand like what my triggers are, like how I can overcome a lot of these things. Like, there's always like new struggles and stuff that arise as like life passes on and everything, but I feel so confident now in my life with how I can like handle like my own issues and how I carry myself and how I do like love who I am, which is really nice. And I also look back on this experience and like, you know, if anybody had to go through like the struggle of like losing a significant other like that, like I'm really glad it was me. Like I wouldn't like cry. I don't want anybody else to go through anything that I did, so I'm glad that I had the experience, because if something happens where somebody does have to go through what I did, then like at least like they know that like I can be somebody that understands and like can like support them, and like you know, at least like I have that experience so I can help other people, or I look at it like at least I took this pain away from somebody else. So,
where were you at in your social media journey during that time? And
I had no following.
Okay, cool, yeah. So then it almost probably motivated you to keep following the path that you were on, because with the name and with the branding and everything, that kind of that alone is something that you do to honor him.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you used to? Because I know for me, when I've gone through difficult things in my past, like work or like something that I'm passionate about, is something that really like was able to like help me heal along the process and push me along the process of healing. What were some of the things that you figured out to like? What ways did you learn how to cope with that experience and like healing from that experience?
I learned from understanding my like unhealthy behaviors. So I find that when it comes to like grief and issues, what my mind tends to go to is that I want to have control over the situation. And when I don't have control over a situation, I like literally implode because I don't know what to do. And so that triggered a lot of like unhealthy stuff, which it has like throughout my entire life. Like I used to have, I struggled with eating disorders all throughout high school. Because when we moved, it was like right when my parents got a divorce. So nothing in my life was in control, but I'm like, I can control food. And so like that's how like this like toxicity kind of like came into play. Like I could control like with like self-harm and stuff. I'm like, this is stuff I can control, and I can like, I have power here, and that's what matters. And I feel like there's a little bit more control in my life because I can do these things. And like it's my own decision, like this was my decision kind of a thing. So when I look back on stuff like that, even with like substance abuse stuff, which I've also like gone through, like it was because I wanted some sort of sense of control when I felt so out of control. And so when I look at that, when I realize how unhealthy I was like years ago, like I realized that the best thing that I could do is to find control in areas that were actually going to do me well and help me process things. So I could control like how active I was. So going to the gym and like being able to go on a run or et cetera, like that's something that like I have control over, but it's a really healthy thing to have control over. I don't obsess over it. Like I'm not like, I want to eat head, I'm going to go to the gym. Like I'm dry scooping.
I have to eat
pre-workout.
I can't eat more than 200 carbs a day.
No, like nothing like that. Like I don't obsess over things like that. I track my macros a little bit because like I have like I want to be beefy. I want to be like scary. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Because
do it.
Why not? Like I want to look a little intimidating. But that's a healthy thing that I can control that's doing me really well, and especially like my mental health. Like working out, like it releases so much endorphins for you, right? So
I know certain people that just go to the gym for the mental health side of it.
Yeah.
Like they're like, I don't really have any physical goals. It's just because I feel better mentally when I go to gym. Yeah.
And like, you know, going to the gym, like it ensures to me that like I'm not going to fall back into these like really unhealthy habits that I really never want to go back into. So, which I know kind of sounds like fear, but it's not that like I'm scared. I know I'll never end up back in like a place where I am unhealthily controlling things around me. But it's more of like I'm doing this because this makes me feel like so good and so positive, and it gives me like this huge road to look back at where I've come and be like, look at where I am now. Yeah. So that's a really big thing that's helped me cope. Well, one of the biggest things. The second thing has always been this sounds so weird, like dressing up. Like doing my hair and my makeup,
doing something you're passionate
and posting it because I'm proud of how something came together. Like I love to just like sit down and do my makeup for like literally 4 hours. I will take, like, if you tell me like at the rave, like we wake up, it's like 8 a.m. and you're like, we're going in at 2 p.m. I will literally start doing my makeup right then and there, because I can sit there for 4 hours and do whatever I want. And it's so relaxing. And I have complete control over how I want to look. And so it's really calming and it's very nice. And it's such like a healthy way too, because I can make myself look crazy if I wanted to. I could paint my face like blue and be a Smurf or something. And just because why not? Like I can do that. But it's like that's like a healthy thing to do. It's, you know, it lets me like reflect on like myself. It lets me be like super artistic, like lets me socialize like with my friends. Like it's a nice thing to have like control over. And so I feel like that's like my next like favorite healthy kind of like coping mechanism thing. And then I like sewing as well, but not because I have I have control over like how things look. Sometimes they don't work how your brain thinks they should work. But I like it more because like we were talking about earlier, it's like such like a mindless activity. Like I feel like sometimes when I'm sewing, I'm just like, it's just like really nice to not think about things for a little bit. And then especially since getting my dog, Mr. Doug,
I see you post it. He's like, you've like built that into your branding almost at this point.
He's a big fat man and I love him. But especially since getting him, like he's been such like a really big, it's been like a year now. He's been like such a healthy turnaround in my life, because it kind of forces me to like get outside and like go on walks a little bit more. I love walking. Now I have an excuse. It's like walking myself really. But it's like being able to have that control in places that are actually benefiting me, where it's like, I'm not controlling it for bad reasons. I'm controlling it for good reasons. You know,
the more you can lean into healthy habits, I think because I also have divorced parents, and I feel like I've gone through times in my life where I felt the same way, and I think that's why I like working every day. You know, even just small things of like brushing your teeth in the morning and washing your face twice a day, like, you know, simple things like that, drinking plenty of water. Like,
the routines,
healthy habits that you can. That makes a huge difference.
So important. Like if I don't take my vitamins at the beginning of the day, like I'm like my day's ruined. Because I didn't take my vitamins. because the routines, they help a lot too. And when you have control over these routines, as long as they're healthy, obviously, like your skincare routine, it does absolute wonders, at least like for myself. I'm sure obviously you feel the same way, because it's like you're so much is going on around you. It's all this chaos, but you have this like point inside of you where like, I'm gonna do this and it's gonna balance out.
Okay, we're good for the day. Yeah.
And then you're like, I'm fine. I'm very into the whole like balancing of everything, like yin and yang type of stuff. I'm very like,
I used to be so bad at that.
Oh, you gotta find your balance, man.
Yeah.
Like it's like I found that out really quickly with Olympus Attire and social media, that if I didn't have this perfect balance, or like somewhat perfect, nothing perfect, of like sewing and content creation, but then also like me.
Yeah. You time.
Things,
Very important.
It all falls apart. So having that balance is like so important. And it's nice too. I mean, like I really enjoy like taking care of myself now and making sure like I'm like doing good, and like especially like recently, like I've noticed like when I have put a lot more thoughtful effort into myself like this past year, and focusing like on like my own happiness and just like myself, I see also how it affects my relationships around me, and how people are reacting to me and how people are treating me, because like if you treat yourself poorly, other people are going to treat you poorly too. It's just, again, it's the energy you're attracting, man. Treat yourself good, people are probably going to be really nice to you.
Have you ever struggled with like mental health wise regarding like because you're on, your career is built around social media, and you're on social media a lot, and how you have an income for yourself. Have you dealt with any sort of like addiction problem with that, or like have you had to like create healthy habits regarding social media usage?
Well, back when I was first starting, like I was spending like such an unhealthy amount of time that I found like that's when I had to take a step back. But honestly, since then, like things have been pretty good. I get a lot of hate. There's at least like 5 people like telling me to kill myself like every single month, like, which has been a lot more sparse. Before it used to be a lot more frequent, so monthly, like that's not that bad. I don't care about these things though. I don't care if people are saying these things to me. I don't care if they're commenting my looks. I can delete them, I can block them. Most of the time I just don't look at it, like, because I don't really care. Like the only time I'll like really interact with hate is like when it's funny to me, but funny to the point where like I know if I respond to this, it's gonna like boost the engagement, and then like
I win.
Like now my post blew up because of thanks.
Right.
So before, I think I used to care a little bit more when I was like really small. Like I would take a lot of things personally, but then at the same time, it's like who cares if somebody from like Connecticut thinks I'm ugly? Like I don't care. Like it doesn't bother me. The only time things on social media have really bothered me, when Mark had like first passed away. I don't post about him anymore. Because when I was posting about him a little bit more frequently, I was getting comments from somebody that knew him on my social media, and it lasted 2 years of this person telling me to, like, saying like the most absurd things to me, telling me that like he never loved me, that our relationship meant nothing, that I was using his death for sympathy, and all of these things. Like it was like really bad. Like it was like
that's insane.
It was so fucked up, dude. I think that was the only time that like these comments and like messages and whatnot would actually get under my skin, because it was something that was like so personal to me, especially because it was so recent. If I got messages like that now, I wouldn't care because I'm over it. I'm over
half the time it's just people trolling and talking out their asses. So
exactly.
It's like, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't even matter. And so I'm just like, this all like, also like in the end, like if somebody's really gonna take the time on social media to write me a hate comment, like that's like their own thing. You know what?
Unsubscribe, unfollow. It's not that hard.
Like if you really don't want to see my stuff, you can just block me, and I'm totally cool with that. If you don't want to, I can do the honors. It's not a big deal. It's like, I don't know, hate stuff. Like I've never sent hate to anybody online before, because I think it's weird. I think it's just such a waste of like your own energy as well. I don't understand why people do it. There's so many better things.
Going back to your original point too, the way the energy you put out in the world comes back to you. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
putting out hate, like, you must be a really miserable person.
You must be really miserable. Like, people must treat you like crap if that's what, like, how you're treating
Yeah.
other people. Like, you know, it doesn't, you just, maybe instead of saying, like, oh, like, this is ugly, you just say, cool outfit, and then you're fine. You know,
Yep.
go off to whatever. So, I don't know, the rave scene normally isn't too bad for, like,
Yeah.
hate and stuff either. So,
Yeah.
unless you get into like the toxic plur side of things, but that stuff's
True.
funny. That stuff is so funny.
Well, we are at an hour and 10 now, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
I have nothing to do today.
Yeah. A couple wrap-up questions.
Okay.
What would you tell people out there that have gone through a hard time but still want to be really successful in something that they're passionate about? What advice would you give people like that?
I think the best thing that you can do is, first of all, find your own inner peace, and then use that to help define who you are. When you go through something really traumatic, it really does change you, and it changes how you view things, how you react to a lot of things. So when you can sit down and find your own peace with this kind of hardship that you've gone through, I think that's when you can really find yourself. And when you find yourself and you start posting yourself onto the internet or onto really like any social media platform, or being more active in like in your community, you're going to find that it allows you to create deeper connections with people because you're being authentic. And as much as this experience may have sucked to go through, it does allow you to build a lot deeper connections. I look back at losing Mark, and it fucking blows, dude. Awful thing, but because it did happen, I feel like I can actually like connect with people on a deeper level, because it really cemented in my brain like people can literally die tomorrow, and like how I'm treating them today, if I treat them poorly, like I don't want them to leave with that being how I treated them, you know. So that's getting a little bit off topic of the question, but I would say like use your traumas to your advantage, because it helps you find yourself and it helps you connect more. And that's what I think social media is all about in the end, is connecting with people, right?
Yep. Building a bigger network and connecting with people, and people who you might not be able to reach in your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in the future? Do you think that you'll always do something within the EDM industry? And then also kind of piggybacking off that question, what do you see yourself doing when you're like in your 50s?
I definitely think I'm always going to be involved in the EDM industry now. As time goes on, I would say like 10-year kind of plan here, like definitely going to be having Olympus Attire, but I probably wouldn't be as in charge of it as I am now. The hope would be that like I have obviously like still a very big stake in my company, but I have a better team around it. Maybe I'll be married by then. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I could die tomorrow. Who knows? If I'm not doing something too intense with like content creation or with Olympus at that point, which I'm sure a lot of that stuff is going to end up dying down, I could see myself going more into event planning. Again, because I love being in charge. I captained my high school rugby team for like 2 years. I captained like representative teams and stuff. Like I love being a leader. So I think being able to have the opportunity to like plan events and put stuff together and like create these spaces that I grew up loving would be super, super interesting. So maybe by the time I'm 50, like that could be something that would be more consistent. If not, I think I would be doing a lot more like crazy things in my 50s. Like I would probably be going skydiving a lot more. I'd probably be going like bungee jumping. I'd probably be like living in New Zealand for a little bit or something. Like I literally
live my best life.
Yeah, like literally just doing like crazy people things. Or I would be sitting at home with a bunch of dogs.
There you go.
Either of the two would be wonderful. But it's still, I always want ties to like the scene, and hopefully by the time I'm 50, I'd have like at least like one child. So
awesome. Where can the listeners find you, and how can they support you?
So the best place that you can be supporting me is probably on Instagram and on TikTok. My handles are Sunflower Raver on both of those. I'm also on Twitter. It's at Sunflower Raver again. I don't post a lot on Twitter. I just lurk there. So, Instagram.
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter. I don't get the marketing side of Twitter. Like, I just don't understand.
I just like to watch all the drama on there, like all the excision getter stuff that was happening.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, sitting here on my phone, I was like it was like the funniest thing, but that's the only reason why I have Twitter, is just because I like to look at all this stuff happen.
Yeah. That is the entertaining side of Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter's just for entertainment. But those are the best places to find me. If you're ever interested in checking out my business, it's at Olympus Attire. It's only on Instagram.
Awesome.
I promise I'll post there in like a week.
I'll link everything in the description as well. So.
Yeah, I had a YouTube channel. I don't use it anymore because editing videos is hard. So
yeah, it is very much so.
It's easier when you only have a minute of footage to go through on TikTok rather than an hour and 20 minutes.
And it's harder to grow on a platform like that, especially in today's day and age where everyone's attention span is like 2 seconds.
Yeah. I only go on a YouTube now to watch like true crime. Like that's literally it. It's like murder, and I'm like, yeah. Tell me more.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. So,
if there was one piece of advice you could tell yourself when you first started putting out content and really started your journey into what you do, what would it be?
Stop caring so much. Like, there's no reason to care about how your pimple looks on your face or how your hair is a little bit out of place or anything like that. Nobody cares. As long as you're happy.
Nobody even notices.
Nobody notices. Like, as long as you're happy with what you're posting, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how many likes it gets. It doesn't matter how many shares it gets. As long as you're proud of it and you can look at it and be reminded of a really special memory, then yeah, you should freaking post it, dude.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for your time today. I really appreciate it and really liked our conversation.
I did too. This was fun.
Awesome. We'll have to meet up at Lost Science too.
Yeah, please. I would absolutely love that. Thank you so much for having me on.